Hey, welcome. In just a couple of seconds, you're going to meet Virginia Elder with Podcast Abundance, and you can look her up, podcastabundance.com. Sat down with Virginia. We've worked together for several years anyway, and this was just a really cool podcast for me. Virginia and I explore what it could be like for an independent insurance agency to start doing a podcast like the one you're about to watch, how easy it can be, and how valuable it can be to the growth of the individual hosting the podcast, and how valuable it could be to the growth of your insurance agency. So I really hope you'll watch this full episode. There's one part in this episode that I think is really cool, where she and I were almost brainstorming and think tanking and masterminding as we go through this. And we stumble across an idea that I think some of you are going to latch on to that might really help your agency. And this would be something that would help it quick. So hope you enjoy this episode, and thanks for taking the time to check us out. Take care. Welcome to the Insurance Agency Success Podcast, the only podcast that helps insurance agencies grow their business while increasing their happiness and joy. I'm Eddie Price, founder of Jenesis Software and an agency owner for more than 30 years. I have started, bought, sold, and scaled agencies, and for the last 25 years, helped others do the same through Jenesis. On this show, you're going to hear real stories and proven strategies to help you streamline your operations, increase profits, and really enjoy the business that you've built. And if you'd like to learn more about what we do here at Jenesis Software, just visit genesissoftware.com, click on the orange button to request a demo. All right. So, Virginia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Eddie. This is so exciting.
I know, I'm excited too. This one's different for me for sure. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to be able to talk about and how that's going to be valuable to the people listening. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think this will be great. Virginia and I have worked together for, I really don't know, 5 years, more than that, 6, 7 years, quite a little while, where she's done some work. Her company has done some work for Jenesis, some marketing related things. And then about a year ago, I reached out to Virginia because I knew that her, one of the things that she did was help coach people and produce podcasts for people who wanted to do their own podcast. And I knew that that's a good marketing move for a business. So it's been on my radar for a while to do. So I reached out to Virginia and said, hey, I know we've been working together for a while. We didn't even talk all that often. And then you do this, I'm thinking about doing it. So long story short, by mid-year last year, or summer or late summer or something, we were up and running. So we kind of got together and we hired Virginia to coach us and produce. And you may say all that differently than I'm saying it. But so that's been our involvement for the last, not quite a year, but 7 or 8, 9 months maybe. So that's our relationship at the moment. So if you would, Virginia, tell us who you are. And some of this stuff is going to be interesting for me because would like to know what all you do, what you focus on, and how you kind of got to where you are. And then I want to turn this time into why could this be important for independent insurance agents watching?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that introduction. And you nailed it. I mean, we've been in business going on 7 years. We'll hit 7 years in like about August. And the majority of that time, we were just doing some kind of copywriting style things for you for a long time, just in the back end of your YouTube channel. And I guess maybe what you did or didn't know was that we were offering podcast production services since 2019. And of course, the industry has changed and grown, and so much has happened just behind the scenes in the podcasting space. So that's probably a bit why we were in the back end of your YouTube channel, because of course, YouTube brought podcasts to the scene like a storm in 2020. And that has helped me grow my business as well, because when we used to do, audio only podcasts, and then the industry shifts, so then we're quickly adopting video. And then my background is in the financial space. I did audit for several years. And before that, I did project management and contracts and things like that. So that background combined with a love for personal finance led me into the financial podcast space. And that is really what helped me establish my niche and figure out what conferences to go to. And that was what led to the first few people approaching me to do business. But for several years now, we have offered, full strategy on like launches for video and audio podcasts, how to say, what to say, how to position your company, whether it is a good time for you to adopt a video or not, various things on positioning your podcast as an asset for your business so that you're truly attracting clients and reaching your goals with your show.
Okay. What percentage of what you do is podcast work versus other types of things that you do for your customers?
Gosh, it has to be 95%
now.
Wow.
Okay.
Podcasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your passion there more?
Absolutely. You were a unique client from the beginning with the YouTube descriptions that we were doing, but that does fit our business journey as well, because we used to do a lot of copywriting as far as like blogs and newsletters and even website copy. I had kind of a partnership with a gal that was attracting all of these like real estate investor type people that wanted to launch their business. So we were launching all of their websites and things simultaneously. Some of them wanted to do podcasting and some of them didn't. But at this point, we've shifted completely into the audio and video podcasting space.
Cool. That's exciting. It's been great for me. It's been easier than I thought with your help. I think had I done this, had I done this on my own, there's just too much to learn. And it's also been far more fun because right now I'm working. And this doesn't feel like work to me. I'm having a conversation with somebody about something that I'm interested in and I get to learn and I love to learn. How do you see podcasting as a marketing tool being used for independent insurance agencies? How could that be used? People watching this, if they're going to consider this, what should some of their thoughts be and why would they want to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So podcasting in general, and listeners will notice this right off the bat, you develop this perceived relationship with the host of your favorite show. You identify with them. You like them. You love to, download their episode as fast as you can when that new one comes out each week. And so when you're the host of that podcast, that is the relationship that you're fostering with your potential listeners. So when you're talking about a client that is going to trust you with their home, their RV, their land, their whatever it is, and for them to want to be informed about what's going on, maybe in the insurance space or in the property space in their city, just depending on what angle you want to pick to inform people about, they are going to develop a deep level of trust with you just because you're in their ear each week. The other piece is that this perception of authority, essentially, in this space. You meet any business owner on the street and, okay, it's Joe. That's his place. Okay, that's his coffee shop, whatever it is. But when Joe has a podcast and a coffee shop, you're suddenly wondering, oh my gosh, how big is he? He's got a podcast. He must be important, right? He must be doing some stuff that I don't know about. And so it's this perception of increased authority and really just access to a higher level of business ownership.
And the outcome, the reason that an agent would want to do this could be a combination of growing their business and improving retention, because I think you improve retention because you're perceived like that authority, like you're talking about, by your existing customers. I think that helps you with existing customers as well. And I think also you improve your retention because podcasting is such a learning process for me, because either you're doing a solo podcast that you're preparing for about a topic, answering an insurance question or something. So you're learning because you're preparing to be able to speak on it, or you're interviewing somebody like I'm interviewing you, and I'm learning in this process too. So it's really such a learning process that I think most agencies that would do this are not trying to make money off of YouTube monetization, right?
Right.
They're trying to grow their insurance agency. That's the focus.
Right.
Hey, do you have any experience, I don't, with YouTube ads as it relates to promoting a podcast?
I have not dabbled in that yet. I know
maybe something to think about at some point.
There's a place called Audience Lift, and you can, choose one of your two routes where you want them to advertise your podcast or you want them to advertise your YouTube channel. I would only recommend that because then you're putting money behind your ads, right? So I would only recommend doing that if someone has the podcast humming along and a proven capture system for emails from potential clients. You got to have that whole system behind the scenes working and humming and proven before you throw money at getting more eyeballs on your content.
Okay, got it. I sent you an email, and I think this is worth sharing to folks because I thought it was kind of cool. And I don't know if you're going to remember what I'm talking about here in a second or not, but
I do.
I sent you a mail just in the last couple of weeks. I was on a meeting, several Jenesis team members, and I joined this meeting with an existing client about something. And I don't get on too many existing client meetings. I love it when I do, but I was on this meeting and we got to the point, like a few people said some things, and it was an existing client. And I introduced myself because I'd never met them before. And the guy said, "Oh, I know you. I know that famous office behind you." And for a second, what are you talking about? And he said, "I'm seeing you on YouTube and webinars and podcasts and everything." So I just thought that was hilarious, Virginia, that because I've never thought much about my background, and I'd even thought about sprucing it up a little, and I might one day, or I thought about you could do the virtual backgrounds. But I just thought that was kind of cool that as short of amount of a time that I've been doing this, that someone used the word, that's the famous office. Not that it's really famous, but to him, he must have seen a few episodes and now he's on a real call. And that probably did feel a little interesting, that what he had been seeing on the internet, on YouTube and that sort of thing. Another guy, I didn't share this one with you, was on another meeting with a client and we ended the call and the guy said, because I think we said, anything else? Are we good? Ready to finish the call? And he said, one thing I want to add, and this comment's for Eddie, because there was a few people on the call. He said, "Eddie, I know I watch your content and I know that you're a person of faith. And I just want to let you know that I've been praying for your continued success and for the way you're helping agencies grow, for God to bless that." And I thought that was cool, Virginia.
Yeah.
I think it's cool about the faith part. But my point really here is he got that from conversations, that he had seen me have. And I think that we're in such a world where people are making a lot of their decision, a big percentage of their decision about doing business with you or not before they ever really meet with you, through maybe blogs, through things like this and reviews, Google reviews and all that if you're not doing something like this, you've got to work a little harder to try to get those sales. People are not coming to you positioned to buy. Anyway, I just wanted to share those.
I love that.
That was kind of fun.
And both of those comments are that, the perceived like celebrity because you've got this show, right? So that obviously already elevated you in that one person's mind, which means it's happening to a lot of people. And then the other guy, that situation is that evidence of he gained insight about you and about your life and feels like he knows you enough to put you on his prayer list. I mean, what? Like, that is so powerful. So those are both evidence of like just the power of having a show. And the other thing we're kind of alluding to in the background is that it can attract new clients, but don't be surprised when your existing clients are the ones, like the majority of your listenership, because again, you said it earlier, that is gold for retention. And most podcasters now are really shifting into this mindset of like, okay, if this is my mid-funnel tool or my retention tool, how might I do my show differently than if it is a client attracting tool? So there's all kinds of different approaches and goals to creating a podcast.
Right. I agree with all that. And one thing I thought about as you were saying that is another thing that can make this easy for someone to do. It did it for me. Mm-hmm. You and I have had conversations in the last year offline. Mm-hmm. We've met in person in Dallas at a conference where we had brunch together, me and you and Lisa. And we've had a lot of things like this. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm the same tone of voice, same expression, same words on the video recording podcast than I am out off of it, correct? Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Same human.
Not changing.
You're not acting.
Right. But I think that's a big deal, a big good point to make. I think authenticity is so much more in style today than it's ever been compared to 20 and 30 years ago, I think. So 20 and 30 years ago, big productions were kind of a thing. And I think now authenticity and being yourself. The other thing that, how they say, what makes you different? They go to an insurance agent and the insurance agent, maybe a marketing person, will tell the insurance agent, to build your website, we need to put on there what makes you different.
Yeah.
And that is hard. Most insurance agencies, the first thing they're going to say is, well, we treat our customers better than anybody else. Well, that's what every single insurance agency says. So that's not what makes you different.
Right.
So the thing that can make you different is to be yourself, because nobody can be you. You do you perfectly. If you want to nail a persona of who you are, be who you are. And it's perfect every time. You know what I mean? And I think that's so liberating and freeing. And it takes away a lot of the friction from somebody being able to start doing something like this. I watched do you know who Dan Martell is? You may not.
I do.
Do you?
I,
okay.
Yeah.
He's big
I think
in this.
his book is back there.
Oh, really? Like the one about time?
One of those.
Yeah. Okay. Buying Back Your Time, I think, is one of them.
Yes.
And it's a really good book. And, he comes from a SaaS, software as a service background like I do. And so I've met him a few times and was in one of his coaching programs for a while. And I saw a video just this week where he was telling his story about starting content like this. And he said for a long time, he was in the 60 to 80 view club. Each video would get 60 and 80 views.
Yeah. Starting
and he said,
out.
yeah. And he said, had I quit, he said, I started to quit. And most people quit. And now I think he says it's across all platforms, but the video caption was 10 million subscribers. But I think that's crossed a few platforms, but he hung in there. And I think that's a good message too, that people need to know. You don't start out. So, but the key to making that work, I'm sorry, I'm talking more than you and you're the guest.
It's okay.
The key to making that work, I think, is one of the things that Lisa and I have been able to do. We go to the gym consistently 6 days a week. Not every now and then, like a good week is 6 days a week. Really consistently 6 days a week. And we would not do that if we didn't enjoy being at the gym. We enjoy being sore. We enjoy being tired. We enjoy sweating. I know we are weirdos. But my point is, if we didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't go well. And I think I'm enjoying this. Obviously, it's true because I'm doing all the talking. But I enjoy this, and I enjoy the learning part too and listening. I really do. But I think that makes this easy too. And I'm saying all that, Virginia, because don't you think that a lot of people don't start this because of the fear of getting started?
Oh, absolutely. Practically every story you hear about someone launching a podcast begins with, well, I thought about and wanted to do this 2 years ago, or, 18 months, or like name your like excessively long timeline. And that's how long they wished they could do it, thought about it, wondered how to do it, did research, bought a book, whatever, and ultimately didn't launch it until someone actually like really pushed them to do it, or like something in the business happened where they felt like, oh, like I just got to do this, or, I'm going to be left behind, or something kind of pushes them over the edge. And I think truly your experience with this is wonderful, because this is what I aim to provide to anybody who launches with me, is that you aren't stuck figuring out software. You aren't editing your own episodes. You aren't wondering what you should keep in or cut. You're not struggling thinking like, how do I like introduce my brand or my show? Like, what do I say to end the episode? Like, we coach through all of that. And everything was designed strategically, looking at your existing business, your existing website. Where do you want people to go? Why do you want them to click there? Is it obvious where they should click? Really breadcrumbing the podcast creation process to a point where once we've identified all of the answers to those questions, your show is pretty much set. And then you can just talk with guests much like you do, because those standard pieces that go on every episode were deeply thought about and worked on between the two of us. So that's why you're able to just show up like a rock star, like you say.
Yeah, I know. And I love it too. So a couple quick things that will help, I think, to frame this for people. Questions that they might want to know. One is frequency. You and I kind of started me out doing once a month. I think that's kind of the minimum and maybe the maximum at first. I think that's the sweet spot for a while. Now, we did that for 6 months. I was enjoying it. We were getting some traction. We were having some customers mention it. I was at a conference and somebody said, oh, you're the guy. I saw your podcast the other day. And I'd only done like 3 or 4 episodes at the time. And so then we decided to start doing 2 a month. And I don't know what our future holds. But for me, I spend almost no time prepping, because all of mine are interviews. Mm-hmm. And I have a very similar format. Tell me how you got started doing. Mostly I'm interviewing other successful insurance agencies. So I'm saying, how'd you get started in the business? What do you think's hard? What do you think's, what is success? How did you get there? How do you get more clients? How do you deal with your team? All these questions, just a conversation like we're having. So it really only takes me about an hour that I'm recording it. Because when I hang up and close out the software, you get it in Dallas behind the scenes from the cloud. And then a month later, it's airing on YouTube. And the other podcast platforms too. You syndicate that, but I don't have to mess with all that. You do all that. But The other thing I was going to say, and I don't remember how we talked about this originally, because we probably had a conversation where you said, what are you thinking, Eddie? And, what do you think, what you're going to do? What's your format going to be? And I don't remember exactly how that conversation went, but I probably pretty quickly went to, I think I would like to interview people like you, people. I've had some great interviews, insurance agencies, very successful insurance agencies, some agencies starting out a little, not quite as experienced. And those have been useful episodes and good content, as well as other people that support the insurance industry, like you can support the insurance industry, these customers. But do you have thoughts about an independent insurance agent? Are you thinking they would go solo podcast, or would they do interviews? And who would they interview?
Yeah. Well, let's touch back on the timing that you said earlier. Like, you started once a month. Most people hesitate from starting a show because they are conditioned with all the shows that are out there that they're weekly. And so if I'm not producing a weekly show, then, I'm never going to get seen, or I'm never going to get traction. And Eddie is a great example, everyone, that you don't have to do what other people are doing, right? So that is part of the strategy and the conversation that we have in the beginning is like, how is this going to work for you? And the big thing that I'm always going for is what is going to make this sustainable for you? Because if you try to commit to something that's once a week and you have no time, that once a week thing is not going to work long term, no matter how well we can batch and edit for you and do all this stuff for you. You have to be the voice in the face. So if you can't consistently record things for me, then that's going to be a real challenge. So once a month is great. That's a great place to start out. And you and I had conversations in the beginning about not necessarily leaning on your listener numbers and looking at them constantly and getting discouraged, because a once a month show is going to grow much more slowly than a weekly show. But who cares if a weekly show would make you quit?
Right.
Right? So that is something super important for anybody to consider. I don't care if you're looking at, starting to post in your Facebook page every week. If that is unsustainable for you, then back it down, and that should be once a month. Like whatever initiative you're trying to do for your marketing should be sustainable. Then you mentioned about your guesting strategy, and I don't know if folks have picked up on this, but your strategy to interview successful agency owners and folks that would support those agencies was really strategic. You're trying to help these agency owners grow. That benefits you in like a roundabout way, because then they can definitely use your software and maybe some of your other services. But we had to really look at things and dissect like, okay, what is the goal of this? What do you want people to do? Okay, so who should those listeners hear from and why? And would they be new agency owners, like small businesses, or would they be larger, like multi-statewide agency owners? Who's your ideal customer? So the individual agency owner listening to this has to think through those things. And it has to, again, determine, do you want to do interviews or solo episodes? Like, where are you comfortable? If you want to do interviews, who comes to mind that you would interview? And how does that help your ideal customer? So they kind of have to like walk through those questions and those scenarios. If you're trying to attract folks that are, in your state, okay, cool. Everyone knows what insurance is, but like, how do we shift this into an interesting conversation that attracts people in my state to do business with me as an insurance agent? And that's where like your unique qualities come out. Maybe you like to hunt or fish or boat or like whatever your thing is. And not to say that your whole show should be about that, but don't be afraid to be yourself. And then again, like, if you're uncomfortable interviewing people, maybe don't go for an interview podcast, right? Like, we have to structure it so that you're looking forward to doing the recording, whatever format that should be. So that answered the guesting question, but it sort of.
Yeah, it does. And I was thinking, some insurance agencies are selling mostly personal lines, auto, home. Some are selling mostly commercial. Some are equal mix. So when I think about commercial for a second, that might be easy because, so I've got a customer, a Jenesis customer, that they focus on RV insurance, and they write RV insurance all across the United States. So that agency owner would be really positioned well to do something like this, where he's interviewing RV owners, and talking about how much does it cost to the RV lifestyle, all the different, talk about the places that you can go all over the, across the country. If you are insuring commercial accounts, business accounts, you can interview those business accounts, how to be successful in business, how to grow your business. It does not have to be about, like, you and I are not talking about insurance today. We're talking about things that help the insurance agent. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially with the interview style.
Yeah. And like while you're talking about the RV folks, that made me think that that insurance agency, it would be awesome for them to do like a travel podcast, right? Like the top spots that you would RV to, about the stay options, about the scenery. Oh, like this time of year, you want to be at this location, that look at, whatever. And whether it's snowbirds or whoever you're interviewing to talk about that travel, people love that. People are always trying to listen, like, I'm going to visit Big Bend next year. Like, I want to hear what they're talking about or like what I should do. Give me those tips, right? But then the business hosting the show is the insurance company, right? Or the insurance agency. So you can get creative. Like you said, it doesn't need to be about insurance. Maybe it needs to be about your customers in a way, or like about their passions. That's how they're truly going to want to tune in.
Did we tell you that we just acquired another company?
I heard, yes.
Okay. Agency Marketing Machine. And it's a done deal. It's going to be effective April 1st. But so we're excited about working with that team and the products and services that they offer. And they serve in insurance agencies as well. And they've been in business for 12 years. One of the things that they do is they help independent insurance agents with this strategy. And it's kind of based in some software, and it's a little complex, but I'll keep it at a high level. They help insurance agencies with this strategy to work and partner with other businesses in their community. It's a brilliant strategy because they're going out and they're offering to help market these local businesses, put them in there. They've got this newsletter, this magazine that AMM creates for these agencies, stuff on the website. So all these local businesses, they don't pay anything to this insurance agency for this insurance agency to help market them. Well, what do you think that does to the relationship? It creates an ongoing relationship, for one thing, because now every month, there's a new thing coming out, and the agent's not having to do much work here. It's mostly the AMM marketing team doing it. I thought about that, though, Virginia, because that could even be a guest strategy, because each month, once or twice a month, you can have one of those different businesses. Bob, tell me about running your pizza business. How long you been doing that? And that would be super interesting potentially for people in that community, So I don't know. I guess the possibilities are endless, right?
Truly, truly. And that's, I think, a great strategy. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are, I think, an insurance agency who's serving a specific square mileage or town or county or something like that, and you definitely could position your podcast where you are attracting local business owners in that town or county to come on your show. And the purpose, obviously, like, why would you listen to that show if you didn't live there or
Right.
you weren't visiting there? Or,
Right.
it would be a very niche, very like hyper local SEO based, location based podcast. And that could be really, really powerful. I feel like you would very quickly get known in your city and town if you weren't already, to where just like the common consumer would be chatting all about you. Oh, did you hear about this show?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, they interviewed Bob last week. It was so great. We got to hear about how pizza dough is made,
Right. Oh, I love it. And I like it in some ways better than what I'm able to do. When I do a podcast and I have an insurance agent as a guest, that insurance agent, when the podcast is released on YouTube and or the other platforms, he might share that with his coworkers and family and maybe people in his community, maybe his customers. But his customers are not going to do business with me. They're not insurance agents. But in this example, if I'm doing a podcast with the pizza shop and the movie theater and all these local businesses, they're going to share that to all of their customers.
Oh yeah.
And their family and their friends and the coworkers. And that's exposure for me I serve that community. So I think it could be a brilliant strategy. And we came up with it right here like
Boom.
that on this
There you go,
episode.
everybody.
It's a think
and
tank
that
right
would
here.
really create like a domino effect in the community of almost like accidental free marketing for you, for your agency, right? Because I hope in the intro and outro of the episode, your insurance agency would be mentioned, and it would be mentioned how to get a free quote or download this free thing so that you're capturing all these listeners' emails. Because that would be like the action-based business feeding piece of why you want everyone to share your show.
Absolutely. Call to action. I made a note because you said something earlier several minutes ago about time, people not having enough time for, like don't do one a week if you don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
And so I want to bring this part
Everybody feels like they don't have time.
Everybody, 100% of every person.
I don't have time, but I do
nobody,
it.
I know. Nobody has time. And that kills me. I heard something a while back that I loved because I deal with it here. I think I'm as busy as anyone can be. But sometimes I have customers who I think are less busy than me. They may not be. That they'll say, oh, I'm sorry I was late for that meeting, or I've got to cancel. I don't have time to do it today. And I'm thinking, need to get your house in order, get things lined up and work the plan the work the plan.
Yeah.
But I heard this thing that said, stop telling people you don't have enough time because you've got the same amount of time in a day that everybody else does. You don't have a time problem. It's just not a priority. So call it what it is. I'm sorry, I can't go to lunch with you tomorrow. It's not a priority.
Not a priority.
Because that time you're going to lunch, I'm living during that same time. I'm just doing something different than that.
Right,
so,
right.
But what I was going to mention is, here's also another unfortunate pattern that I'd love. This would be a great takeaway if one person can take this away and it helped them. I'd love this. I see a lot of insurance agency owners, small and large agencies, who don't have any time. They're busy, can't work anything extra in. So if they're looking at this and thinking about this, I don't know, I can't work it in. Some of these agencies are also not growing. So if you said, how much did you grow this year from last year? Not much. None. Very little. How much have you grown in the last 3 years? Not much. None. Very little. Those two things don't line up, Virginia. I don't have enough time and I'm not growing. Then you're just doing something wrong, period. So accept that, believe it, take a deep breath and say,
what do I need
I've got to make some kind of
differently?
change. Something's got to be different because I'm doing too much of the wrong thing, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
well, I face that in my business too. Like if I'm not getting the results that I want, what actions am I taking during the day? And if I say like, oh, I want to be on 3 stages this year, but I haven't applied to 1 stage yet. Well, clearly my actions are not aligning with my goals. So that's just a silly example, but yeah, I mean, we have to break it down. And that we mentioned the book earlier, Buy Back Your Time. Maybe you need more team. Maybe you need a virtual VA. Maybe you need an AI assistant created. Yeah, I mean, there's so many solutions these days, and sure, that's a whole decision-making process, but there has to be a shift either in your personal actions, because I'm not going to say that the agency owner isn't working hard enough. I think most agency owners, especially small businesses, are probably working a ton of hours. But that work activity can be defined differently. If we're just hanging out in email all day, but really not selling or having conversations or showing up to events or, getting seen and passing out quotes constantly, then that's why, right? So I've faced that too. I think every small business owner does at some point, but that's going to be a super important piece to like ever deciding what more marketing can I do? You've got to be able to prioritize the time for it.
yes. And in addition to that, and we're going to wind up here in just a second. I appreciate your time. We could do this so much longer. We talked about one thing before we started the recording that I want to tie into what you just said about time and the use of your time. And I said, if you're not growing and you're busy, something's wrong, because other agencies are growing. I think that goes back potentially, so you talked about hiring VAs and that sort of thing, to budget. Where are you spending your money?
Yes.
And are you spending it at the right place? And if you're wanting to grow, you have to invest in the growth. I've never seen a business ever just grow without any kind of effort. And if it does, it doesn't last. That's not a sustainable method. And I see independent insurance agencies spending, and maybe most businesses spending 5 or 10% of their total revenue on marketing when they're growing. Many agencies, Virginia, that I work with are spending 0 or 1% or 2% or 3%. Yeah, I'm not saying everyone, but the agencies that I see growing. So let's say it's a small independent. They just started. Their revenue is 100,000 or 500,000. Way less than $1 million. Even 100,000, that's $10,000 a year at 10%. I also think the smaller you are, sorry, but you've got to spend a greater percentage.
Yeah, it's like a sliding scale almost.
It
you
is.
Tell me, because you've been in every size of business.
Yeah.
But I know that even the Small Business Administration, U.S. government entity, recommends that small businesses spend as much as 10% on marketing.
Yep.
And then my advice to kind of follow that up is that all 10% of your money should not just be in podcasting.
Right.
I mean, there are so many other ways to get additional eyeballs on your business that are faster, more direct, even mailer cards, that would be more direct than podcasting. Podcasting is something where you're adopting this method of marketing after you have other things established and you've reached a certain business size, because let's be clear, it's not cheap. And if you're already strapped on time, you're not going to be that person that DIYs their podcast and then starts paying for production after you've grown. So you're going to spend your small bit of marketing money that you can, your 10%, on, I don't know, what are the recommended marketing pieces that would grow the smallest business faster?
Yeah. Here's the way I think about that. I like the idea of stacking things one at a time. So let's say Google Business Profile is cheap.
Okay.
And free. I mean, it's free. You make sure you've got a Google Business Profile and that it's optimized. So spend the time, either get somebody to do it for you and start getting reviews. Either hire somebody to help you get those reviews, which is real common and more successful. Everything you do like this, if you hire somebody to do their area of expertise, like I'm hiring you for podcasting, it's far more successful than me trying to do everything. If I'm an insurance agent, I need to sell insurance. But anyway, Google Business Profile, then stack get your website and get it SEO'd, get the SEO right. And then once that's
so you show up in
settled,
search.
Yes. Then you can start doing blogs or get somebody to do blogs for you. But you kind of stack those things up. And then when you're looking around and you say, I can check these boxes of these other few things and I'm enjoying them, I'm getting a return, then I think you look and say, what's my next thing? And that's what I did. We've gone through all the years of these other things and got them stable. And then we added on podcasts, we added on webinars and other things. So I just wanted to mention about the investment. I believe you don't get anything returned in life, whether it's friendship, love, money, or anything else, without first investing. You have to invest first. You don't get the thing and then invest. So, and that's hard for some people because they want to get the thing right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whatever the thing is. So any final thoughts, Virginia, that you want to add that we've not talked about that you think we should have mentioned for these folks?
I think with any of these marketing endeavors, at least the way I operate, is that I don't want you to be afraid to ask or to explore or to get a quote on, hey, I need Google Business Profile reviews. How much is this thing? How long is the engagement? Get all the facts before you go, oh, I don't have the budget for that. Oh, I don't have time for that. I think that again, that's fear. And that's the biggest thing that holds people back. We mentioned that at the top. That's why most people don't launch their podcasts. But an aligned service provider, no matter what you're talking about, which marketing piece you're concerned about, is going to tell you, here's the typical level of businesses we serve. And, maybe at this point, I don't quite feel like you're here yet. I'm generally looking for these markers in my client's level of business so that I know I can give you the results. I don't want you to pay for this, knowing upfront that you're not going to get the results that you want because your business isn't ready.
Right.
So expect and push for that honest conversation anytime you're exploring some marketing thing. And if you feel like there's something being hidden or avoided in the conversation, that's not the service provider for you.
Right. Well said. Okay. If anyone would like to reach out to you like I did a year ago and say, I'm thinking about doing this, how could you help me? Is that okay if they reach out to you?
Absolutely.
And how is the best way to do that?
Yeah. My email is virginia@podcastabundance.com. And you can explore and click around and do anything as far as podcasting, video or audio, on podcastabundance.com.
Okay. Love it. Please put listeners in the comments if you've done a podcast before, if you've been a guest or if you're doing one now as a host. Put in the comments if you've explored it, and ask any questions you may have there. Also contact Virginia if you have more questions. I'm always happy to share my experience, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and that sort of thing. I would encourage you to really consider this and do like Virginia said, at least understand how this works, how much time it takes, how much money it takes before you just keep procrastinating it. I believe, and especially with some of the ideas we talked about here, I think there's some nuggets here. There's some gold for someone who wants to go mine this gold and use podcast as a way to grow their agency. So thank you, Virginia.
Thank you. That was really fun.
Yeah. You have a great one.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the Insurance Agency Success Podcast, where independent insurance agencies like you get the tools and insights to grow, streamline, and enjoy your business. And if you're ready to simplify and scale, visit genesissoftware.com, Genesis with a J, and click on the orange button to request a demo. I appreciate you being here. Keep growing, keep building, and I'll see you next time.